Our culture has seen this organization through economic upheaval, pandemic, environmental disasters, wars, just about every imaginable crisis. Our culture is truly the foundation on which our company was built over 100 years ago. The best part of the story started back, really, in the very early days of both banks, where friendship and honor paved the way for a long-standing partnership. Peter Helwege and Eugene Roberts were the president and the cashier, essentially the founders of the Hancock County Bank and the Bank of Orleans. Peter served as the president of both banks at the same time, while Eugene served as cashier of both banks. The cashier in those days was essentially a blend of what we now call the COO and the CFO. Eugene lived in New Orleans and rode the train nearly every day to Bay St. Louis. Peter Helwege lived in Waveland and rode the train almost every day to New Orleans. So it was very much a metropolitan organization, and the charters were separated simply because a bank was not allowed then to operate in two different states. That was the Hancock organization. John Bowden became president of Whitney Bank, while Eugene stepped into the role of president of Hancock County Bank and Bank of Orleans after Peter's untimely passing. During the 1910s, the era of John and Eugene, a terrible commodities recession occurred, and the Bank of Orleans fell on hard times. The owners, the board, and the operators of the Hancock County Bank and Bank of Orleans had to make a decision as the Bank of Orleans gets in deeper trouble with problem commodity loans. They had three options. Option one, let the bank fail. There was no FDIC insurance fund back in those days, so the failure of a bank meant wiping out its depositors. Not inside our values. Option two, remove capital from the Hancock County Bank, which was healthy, inject it into and stand up the Bank of Orleans, and make a go of it. But they didn't know at the time how deep the recession might get. It actually did give way to the Great Depression not too many years afterwards. This would have put both banks at risk and was also judged then to be outside our values. Option three, find a partner with a similar set of core values, a similar commitment to depositors and to the community, and then sell the Bank of Orleans to that organization, thereby recapitalizing and standing it up, protecting its depositors and moving forward. So they took the third option. But who to partner with? They turned to the dearest friend that they had in the banking world at the time, the aforementioned John Bowden at Whitney. And so as a result, Eugene Roberts sold the Bank of Orleans to John Bowden and Whitney on May 25, 1918. There are numerous instances over the last century where each of these storied institutions came to the aid of the other. And each story is as intriguing as the one I just shared. But what I really want you to know is that above all, we are true to the ideals of our founders in focusing on the values that make us strong and the mission that propels us forward as a premier financial institution in the Gulf South. The heart of Hancock Whitney lives in our traditions and our people.